So, let's talk about prompt engineering. Back in 2023, it was the absolute hottest new job in tech. Everyone was talking about it. But the big question was it just a flash in the pan? A bubble waiting to pop? Or did it actually turn into a real sustainable career? Well, we're going to dive into exactly that and see what the data from 2026 is telling us.
And this was the sentiment everywhere just a few years ago. And you know what? It's a pretty fair question. The thinking was, as AI gets smarter and smarter, the need for a person to sit there and carefully craft instructions, well, that would just disappear, right? It really seemed like a temporary gig at best.
So right out of the gate, the perception was that prompt engineering was the simple, easy-to-learn skill that would get commoditized, like overnight. The market would be flooded with people who could do it, and its value would just tank. A total classic tech fad.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Those skeptics, they weren't entirely wrong. They were just half right. They totally missed the bigger picture. The role didn't just fade away into nothing. It morphed into something way more complex and, honestly, way more valuable.
Okay, so let's leave the old opinions and all that speculation behind and look at the cold, hard facts. Because the numbers from the 2026 job market, they paint a very different picture from what all those early skeptics were predicting.
And here we have the central paradox of this whole story. If you go on a job site today and search for the title prompt engineer, you're going to find fewer listings than you would have back in 2024. But at the same time, the pay for people who have these skills is actually climbing. So what gives? How is that even possible?
This chart tells the whole story. The standalone job title, yeah, it's fading. It's down about 30%, but the skill itself, it's become absolutely essential. It just got absorbed into bigger, more senior roles, things like AI engineer or LLM engineer, and the demand for those jobs, it has exploded by 300%. So the skill didn't die, it got a promotion.
And the salaries, they absolutely confirm this. Look at this. Across the board, entry-level, mid-career, senior positions, the pay has gone up. A mid-level role that was maybe getting you $150K back in 2024 is now pushing $175K. And senior roles, they're flying past $220K. That is not what a dying fad looks like. It's a sign of a real discipline that's maturing and becoming core to the industry.
So the big question is why? Why did this skill become so much more valuable? Well, it's because the job itself changed. It went from being this kind of creative art form to a really rigorous engineering discipline.
You can see the whole journey right here. It started out in this artisanal phase, right? Just clever phrasing, lots of trial and error. Then it got more structured. We started using techniques like chain of thought. From there, it shifted into the retrieval phase, using things like retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, to pull in real-world facts. And that brings us to today, 2026, and what we call the contextual phase.
And this new phase has a new name, context engineering. It's not about writing one perfect little prompt in a chat window anymore. Not even close. It's about designing the entire information ecosystem, the data, the rules, the guardrails that an AI agent operates within. It's architecture now, not just words.
And that's really the shift right there. We went from this manual, super fragile, ad hoc process to something that is governed, systematic, and most importantly, scalable. In 2023, you were kind of an AI whisperer. In 2026, you are an AI systems architect. Big companies just can't run on clever one-off tricks. They need reliable, engineered systems.
So what specifically changed? Well, first, the bar for entry shot way up. You can't just talk to a chatbot anymore. You need to know Python and system design. Second, the job isn't even really about writing prompts anymore. It's about testing them. Something like 70% of the work is just building frameworks to prove the AI's output is reliable. Then, the skill fused with software development, and boom, the AI engineer role was born. And finally, having deep knowledge in a specific field, like healthcare or finance, became this massive salary multiplier.
Okay, so if that standalone prompt engineer job is basically gone, where do you actually use these skills? Well, the career is kind of split into three main paths. First, you have the AI engineer. This is the most common path. It's highly technical, super well paid, and it's all about combining that context engineering with actual coding to build products. Second, there's the AI product specialist. This is more of a business-focused role, defining what the AI features should do and how they should behave. And third, you have the independent consultant, which is a great path for true experts who can go freelance and charge some pretty high hourly rates. And the demand for these roles is really concentrated in a few key areas. Enterprise SaaS is probably the biggest employer, just by sheer volume. But specialized fields like healthcare, finance, and legal tech are hiring like crazy, and they often pay a premium because the stakes of getting the AI right in those fields are just so high. So all of this leads us to the most important question, right? How do you build a career in this space that actually lasts? What's the playbook for staying relevant when AI is changing at, well, a totally breakneck pace?
Let's just tackle the biggest fear head on. It's the same fear from 2023, just with a new coat of paint. The question is, as AI models get unbelievably good, won't they eventually just understand what we want? Won't that make all this complicated engineering work totally unnecessary? Well, here's the thing. The argument that better models will make this skill obsolete misses one crucial point. The counter-argument, which has proven to be true so far, is that smarter models don't get rid of the need for direction. They just raise the ceiling on what's possible. They let us build way more complex, more ambitious applications, which in turn need even more sophisticated, well-engineered guidance to work right.
So the playbook for a future-proof career here is actually pretty clear. Number 1, learn to code. At least get comfortable with Python. Number 2, pick a domain. Specialize in an industry you're actually interested in. Third, and this is maybe the most important, master evaluation. Being able to measure and prove AI quality is the single most valuable skill. And finally, number 4, stay hands-on. Always be playing with the newest models. The people who are constantly experimenting are the ones who will always have an edge.
And this is the real takeaway. The job title might change again. I mean, it went from prompt engineer to AI engineer. Maybe next it'll be AI director or cognitive architect. Who knows? But the work itself, that fundamental act of translating human goals into reliable, scalable machine behavior, that work is absolutely here to stay.
At the end of the day, what started as this little niche trick for getting better answers from a chatbot has grown up. It's matured into a core engineering discipline for the entire AI economy. It's not about finding the magic words anymore. It's about systematically and reliably directing a completely new form of intelligence. And that is a very real career.